lights and gradations on its surface, the bits of branch that drift down, the birds that cross from one side to the other, carrying nest materials or food. A few times a day, local people pass in their small boats, staring in at me, waiting for me to greet them before allowing themselves to wave or smile. Sometimes I smoke some weed. There's a plentiful supply in the overgrown plot behind my cabin, and from time to time I drink a beer. But most of the time, I'm happy just to sit. Because I do feel alive. This is what life is really like. This is what I so badly wanted to experience, even just in that extraordinarily remote, vicarious and fetishistic kind of way that consists of evoking it in my novel and then being told by others that I have created a vivid world for them. So why would I want to turn away from experiencing it directly, in order to stare at a white page and try to cover it with heavy, clumsy words? I imagine some gaunt, starving man. Why a man, though, and not a woman? I imagine some gaunt, starving woman laboriously writing out a fantasy for other people about a feast that would satisfy her hunger and theirs, while ignoring the large and delicious meal that's been laid out right in front of her. That image makes me laugh. There is no road to my wooden cabin. In these parts, the river is the road. Today, Friday, as I do every Friday, I start up the outboard motor on my little boat and set off on the 12-kilometre trip downriver to the modest-sized provincial seat. There's a kind of beach there where you can drag your boat out of the water. A tough-looking woman called Dido presides over the place with her 3 sons. She has one blind eye like a boiled egg. The other eye darts about, ensuring that nothing, however small, happens on her beach without her consent. She and her boys will watch over your boat for you for a small fee. I bought mine from her when I first arrived, fresh off the plane, unloading my cases and my box of provisions from the taxi, looking forward to seeing, for the very first time, my writing retreat up the river. The town's main business is the onward shipment of products from the surrounding forest, latex, timber and certain minerals. Just downstream from Dido's beach, the river turns sharply right to head east towards the sea, and there are docks with cranes to load and unload the barges that come up from the coast. The town has 4 banks, a produce market, a supermarket of sorts, and, surprisingly, a fine, if modest-sized cathedral in the Manuelin style that would grace a much larger and more important city, and which makes me think, when I go inside, of a kind of coral, as if all of these elaborate columns and arches were the secretions of some sort of highly specialized polyp, whose particular characteristic is that it quite naturally forms representations of, well, of something I vaguely feel I remember, as if from another life, or from that early period of childhood that everyone says they can't recall. I think myself the truth is quite the opposite. We remember our experience of that time so well and so thoroughly that we just don't recognize it as a memory at all, but rather as the surface onto which all our subsequent experience is projected. A few streets from the cathedral there is a rather pleasant colonnaded promenade, built more than 2 centuries later in the same pinkish coral-like stone. Arranged in an elongated circuit like a Roman hippodrome around a row of 5 fountains, the promenade was bequeathed to the city by a rubber millionaire who, having made himself rich by forcing indentured labourers to harvest latex for him for almost no pay at all, wished in his later years to be thought of as a good man, and so, along with a hospital and an orphanage, built this central meeting place that brings the whole town together. Some are inclined to sneer at the motives of a man like that. I am more cautious. We're all hypocrites. A common way of dealing with that is to loudly denounce the hypocrisy of others.